Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Art of Pivoting Your Life. I'm Michelle Carboni, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and intuitive coach, among other things. And we are no longer on the radio for the moment. We're just doing this fun stuff on YouTube, and it's been working really great. So if you want to be on the show, you can visit my website, which is zenmindmichelle.com, and then you'll see on the menu of options in the media, and then at the top of that page you'll see a link to get booked on my schedule. I do up to 2 shows a week, so if you want advice or guidance on something, you get basically 30-minute coaching session for free and get to hang out with me for a little bit. And we usually have a good time, even though we're usually talking about our struggles. Sometimes that can still be a good time. So today I have Kris, who, full disclosure, I do know Kris personally, and I adore her. She's a great person. And so we're going to chat today about some issues she's struggling with. And I think what's interesting is how, we all struggle with similar things. And so I'm sure that someone out there listening is going to also get helped by whatever Kris is dealing with right now. And so Kris, let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about what you want to work on today.
Mostly, there's obviously a plethora of options that we could choose from, but today I think this one encompasses a lot of things that can spill over into other areas. So I feel like the core would be self-love and acceptance, or being able to be loved and accepting that as for what it is,
Yeah.
not self-sabotaging it.
Yeah.
Okay.
How is that showing up in your life?
Sometimes when things seem to be going really well, whether it's in my romantic relationship or friendships or whatever with my own kids. Um, yeah, even with my own children that I've had obviously since birth. Um, I just sometimes, no matter how many people tell me or try to tell me that all the positive things, I don't ever always feel like it's enough.
So do you feel like from your childhood, when you were a kid, did you feel like you had to earn the love from your parents?
Particularly my mom, yes.
Yeah, so it was sort of almost a transactional sort
She
of.
she did this thing that always, no matter what I did, whether it was the best example, no matter what I did, it was always she would do something to it to make it better.
Okay, so it was like you were never good enough. It was never.
And one in particular, I think I was in the second grade, maybe, I don't know, second or third grade. And I made a cake for a contest at my school, and she made it better, like she always did. And I won, and I got a little silver dollar. And I hated that because I didn't feel like it was my cake anymore.
Well, yeah, if she had remade it for you, right? Like,
So,
and how did that make you feel at the time, aside from, you know, not feeling like you deserved it?
that just no matter what I do, it's not going to be enough because it can always be better. She can always, make it better.
Yeah. And obviously that's translating into other things now, right? That belief that I can always be better.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do a little exercise. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to see what it feels like to know that you're always doing your best and that's enough. And see what happens. See what thoughts come up and see, do you feel anything in your body?
Just it's hard to get past the mental aspect of it, but when I really do and try to let it go, I do feel more relaxed and peaceful, I guess you could say, not so much in conflict.
Yeah, because
No conflict, I guess.
The true reality that your mom didn't teach you is that we are always doing our best. And sometimes our best isn't our full potential, but that's okay. Because sometimes, there's that concept of like how many spoons I have, right? Like maybe today I have one spoon and I'm using that one spoon, right? And so I am giving my all. I'm giving my everything I have. And so if you're game, we can do a little thing that I do in hypnotherapy and see if we can make it easier for you.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're doing is looking for the secondary gain. So what I want you to do is pretend you can turn your eyes inward and you can find the part of yourself that's responsible for making you feel like it's never enough. Would you say that is that what that part feels like, or is it I can't, nothing I do is good enough, or what does that part feel like it's saying?
It's never going to be enough no matter what I do.
Okay, no matter what I do, it's not enough.
Or
So
whatever.
we're tuning in to talk to that part. So just pretend, and you might feel it in part of your body, you might not. Doesn't matter either way. We're going to talk to this part. So just I would invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable, and just pretend you can turn your eyes inward, and you can find this part of yourself that keeps telling you it's never it's never enough. It's never good enough. You can never do it good enough. And we're going to talk to this part. So do you think you have found that part?
Oh yeah, it's always right there.
Where's it at?
It feels like it just in my chest, like I feel all the time. Just
Okay, yeah, very common for that part to live there. Okay. So we're going to talk to this part. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you something to say. You're going to repeat it back out loud, and then we're going to leave the end open. And then your mind, your subconscious in this part is going to finish the sentence. Okay?
okay.
Okay, so you're going to say, I'm the part of Kris,
I'm the part of Kris,
making her think that nothing she does is ever good enough.
making her think that nothing she does is ever good enough.
And my role in Kris's life is,
And my role in Kris's life is to find those things that are good enough and focus on those things and let her know that she is good enough and she can be good enough.
okay. Now let's ask this part. How does it think it's helping you by making you think you're not good enough?
Because I do things that I don't know. I guess because I think that's part of it is because
See, this part's
I
trying to do two things, right?
it's an internal conflict.
Yeah, it's doing opposite things. It's making you feel like shit about yourself, essentially.
Because
But
I
it's,
do it and I redo it and I redo it and do more and do more and do more. And then I do feel better or good enough for a short time, but it's not real.
yeah, it's never, because it's never enough. This part, let's ask this part. So, I'm this part of Kris
I'm this part of Kris,
that's making her not feel good enough.
making her not feel good enough.
And I came into her life because,
And I came into her life because so many people in her life nurtured that part of me.
hmm and do I think I'm helping her?
No,
Yeah. Would this part be willing to leave? Or would it be willing to do a different job?
I think a different, maybe the part of the positivity, but get rid of the,
Yeah. So let's tell this part. what its new job is. Let's give it a new job title. What is its new title?
Um, its new job title,
Hmm.
positive reinforcement.
Okay. So this new part that this part of you that used to make you feel like nothing you did was ever good enough is now going to change. And it's got this new name. What is this new job? What is it going to do for you?
Maybe I should say positivity reinforcer.
Okay, the positivity reinforcer. Let's give this part its new role, its new job. What is it doing? Let's give it all the things. So what is this part doing for you? Tell it everything you want it to do for you.
I need it to,
And talk to the part. Say, okay, this is your new title, and this is what you're gonna do for me.
your new title, positivity reinforcer. So all of the things that come in particularly negative, I need you to turn that around and use that for me, not against me, to help me feel that inadequacy that I feel all the time because of you.
So tell it, you're gonna make me feel adequate.
You're going to make me feel adequate and enough
Yeah, and worthy.
and worthy. And that's even on my days that aren't great days, that's enough for that day.
Yeah, you're gonna help me know that I'm always doing my best, and that is enough.
And to help me know that I'm always doing my best and that's enough to make
Now,
me be.
yeah. Now, how does this part feel? Does it like its new job description?
I don't know.
Okay, let's ask it. Say, will you accept this new job, this new role?
Will you accept this new job, this new role in my life, and work with me and not against me? I think so, because I think a big portion of it is to be aware of it and to be able to take control over it.
Mm-hmm. And we can work with your thoughts with it too, right?
Mhm.
So I want you to feel that part it's in your chest. And I want you to say, thank you so much for taking on this new role. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for making me know that I am good enough because I am, and know that I am worthy because I am, and know that I am lovable because I am.
Thank you for taking on this new role. And thank you for being a positive part of me that will make me feel like I'm enough because I know that I am. And I just need some help with that.
Yeah, and thank you for helping me.
And thank you for helping me.
Yeah. And I want you to feel that part taking in that shift. And I want you to also, while it's changing, while it's moving, I want you to imagine there's a beautiful light coming in from 400 feet above you, any color. And this beautiful light is sealing in that change. It's sending you all of this unconditional love. It's sending you all of the feelings of worthiness that you are, that you've always have been. And you can feel that changing every single cell in your body to know that you are worthy and you are lovable. And just feel that light coming in as that part is changing. And then take as long as you need and let me know when you feel like it's done.
I'm done. I just like the warm light.
Isn't it nice? And you can pull in that light anytime. Anytime you're not feeling good, just remember You can tap into that beautiful light, and it can send you all the unconditional love and all the confidence and all the worthiness that you need in that moment because it's always available. And how does that feel to know that?
Relieved,
Yeah, right? It feels good.
warm, fuzzy.
Yeah. Do you feel like that part? How's it feeling in your body now?
I don't really feel it so much right now.
Okay, that's good. Right? Because when you were feeling it, it didn't feel comfortable.
No,
Right. So if you say to yourself now, I'm doing my best always, and I'm always good enough exactly how I am, how does that feel to you now?
new, but better, warm.
Hmm. Is it able to kind of like come in now a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah. And working with these parts of ourselves. I mean, really, we can kind of think of it like that movie Inside Out. I love those movies because they simplify something that really is going on in our minds. And we have these parts of ourselves. And have you seen the second one yet?
No.
Okay, the second one goes into all of these new emotions like anxiety and ennui and, embarrassment and all these new emotions that the character Riley is starting to get now that she's getting to be a teenager. But we have so many of these parts. Like the movie couldn't possibly go into like how many parts we actually have.
Oh,
So you can think of it as like, okay, I just have this part of me that's taken over the control panel and it has the voice of my mom or it has the voice of my grandma or whoever, right? Like whoever it is. Or it has this voice that's a combination of every single person who ever told me I wasn't good enough when I was a kid. And we can go, okay, it's just this part. And this part was programmed by that outside thing, outside factors, outside people, and it's not true. And I'm going to bring in that light and I'm going to remember that I truly am good enough, exactly how I am, even if out of my 100% potential that I could have if I'm having a fabulous day and I'm full of energy and, I'm feeling well and all of that stuff. Like maybe out of that 100 today, I woke up and I only got 1%. I am giving that 1%. I'm doing my best always, 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 always. And just reminding ourselves because part of what happens to us too, especially when we have complex PTSD, is that our nervous system gets triggered. So it's like a flashback, like somebody with PTSD would have, but we don't go back to a memory. We go back to a nervous system state. And so someone could say something that triggers this part that goes, oh, and it just immediately our nervous system goes into the same heart rate, the same fight or flight response, the same, all of those things. And we don't know that we're going back to a moment. We just know we don't feel good. We just know that we're feeling anxious or we're feeling upset or whatever it is, right?
yeah.
So part of it is just recognizing, okay, this is just a nervous system response. Let me breathe. Let me even, putting your hand on your heart and breathing out longer than you breathe in, because that will basically slow your heart rate down. And our heart rate is very impactful to fight or flight because when our heart rate increases, it tells our brain, I'm in danger. Because what happens if we were to be out in the wild and see a lion, immediately our heart rate is going to just skyrocket because we are in danger from this lion. And our body doesn't actually know the difference between a physical threat versus an emotional threat. So if someone makes us feel bad, it can trigger that fight or flight. If someone says something that reminded us of something we had that happened to us as a kid, it can make us go into that same state, right?
Yeah, and everybody says they don't care what everybody thinks, but they do.
Right, we do. We're societal creatures. Now we can train ourselves and work with our thoughts to get to a place where maybe we don't care what other people think, where we decide to own who the fuck we are and stand in our own power and empower ourselves to be authentic,
That would be amazing.
right? And so working with our thoughts is important. So I'll teach you something. I don't think I've taught you this before, but we'll do it again, even if I haven't. So there's something that is called the looping thoughts ladder. So if you think of a ladder and the rungs, so in the first one, we have our thoughts. In the second one, we have our emotions. And then in the last one, we have our action slash inaction. So, what's a common thought that comes up for you?
For me,
Mhm.
in well, if it's something that's going well, I'm going to screw it up. It's never going to last. Something's going to happen.
Okay,
And
good. Let's work with that, right? So, something's going well, but you're like, oh, I'm going to screw this up. Something's bad's going to happen. So, when you notice you're thinking that, or let's work the ladder. So, when you think that, how does that make you feel?
fearful,
What else?
inadequate.
Okay, what else,
Um,
if anything?
I think that's just like
Yeah, so fearful. So, if you feel
that's what
fearful and inadequate, what action or inaction is going to happen?
I'm probably going to manifest that to happen because I'm going to be stressed about it and worried about it.
Yeah, like self-sabotage might come into play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what could you change that original thought to that feels better?
Um, this is good because I deserve it, and I'm worked for this, not because I mean
Yeah,
it's
right?
okay to be
Like,
happy.
I deserve to be happy. I've worked hard. This is great. So if you think that, how are you going to feel?
Content and not fearful and not
So what's the opposite of fearful?
confident.
Mm-hmm. And what else might you feel?
Um, just not like a failure. So
So you feel like you'll feel successful. Because remember, our mind, the language we use in our mind is really important. And if we say, like, I, I would feel not, I would not be feared. I wouldn't be in fear or whatever. That's your mind is really only hearing fear. So what we want to do is change those words to success, to fearless, to brave, right? Like change those words, confident, right? And if you're feeling all those things, if you feel confident and you feel brave, what kind of actions are you going to then take?
I'll be more positive because I won't run and hide. I'll continue to
You can step into your authenticity.
enjoy what I'm doing and living.
Yeah. And like, that's a huge game changer, right?
You know,
Yeah. So, I would work with that looping thoughts ladder, honestly. If even if you have to like draw a ladder, put it on your fridge, put it on the mirror, whatever, and just maybe once a day think about what kind of thoughts have been coming up for me and how can I switch those? How can I transform those thoughts into something that feels better? What thought can I work with today that came up because I got a phone call or I saw a post on Facebook or whatever it was, right? And what can I change that thought to that's going to make me feel better? That's going to put me in a better emotional state. Even if it's taking you from fear to contentment. That's still a big jump. And then we can take ourselves from contentment up even more steps. There is an emotional, like an emotional scale. You can Google it. Even getting the emotional scale out and looking at it and go, okay, right now I'm in, I'm in anger. How can I get myself to frustration instead of anger? Even that little bit of a shift. And then how can I take myself from frustration to the next thing up? And working with your thoughts in that way. And what you're doing is conditioning your mind. Our mind learns by the words and pictures we use. It learns by repetition. So by noticing our thoughts, we can then work with them and go, okay, I'm going to take control of these thoughts. I'm going to just change them, because truly the only thing we actually have control over is our thoughts. We have control over nothing else. But if we can take control of our thoughts, we can then choose what emotional response we're going to have, right? Like we're working it from the bottom up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
You did.
think I think you'll see a big shift, but it takes practice. So you've got to give yourself compassion. You got to give yourself some love, right? And there's I want to say it's Louise Hay, but I could be mistaken. It might be Caroline Myss. Anyway, one of them talks about how even looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, can be really hard for us. But if we can do it every day and just look at ourselves in the eyes and say, I love you, eventually we can do it easier and easier, and we mean it, and we embody that love for ourselves. And you should see my mirror. It has so much stuff written on it. So like anything you want to work on, like mine has, I love my body, I am enough. I'm trying to think of it's got so many things I can't even remember them all. I just, it's like, but seeing it written like that, I mean, that's why subliminal programming of like advertising works, because it's, even though we're not necessarily even reading it, it's going in. So choose what's going in there. Write it on your mirror if you can. I know you're probably having to still write left-handed right now, but maybe somebody can help you write it on your mirror. But even just doing that practice of I love you in the mirror, and just look at yourself and say I love you, can create like a huge shift. But I would really work with the thought ladder. I think will be really helpful for you to just, when you notice you have any of those old thoughts come up, tell that part, hey, remember, you're going to be, encouraging me and making me feel good and giving me confidence. And so let's work with that, help me find a new thought.
Okay.
And then eventually you get in that habit. And then eventually those loving, helpful thoughts are the ones that are coming up. It's just about reprogramming your subconscious mind and rewiring the neural pathways, really. So we can kind of, those highways of thought, right? We can just keep working with them and tear down that highway that says, I'm not good enough, I'm going to mess this up because I mess everything up, to everything goes right for me, everything works out, I'm a great person, I'm a great friend, I'm proud of myself and my accomplishments.
Okay.
So how does that feel?
I think it'll be helpful. I think it'll be something that's doable.
Yeah, right. And you can work with thoughts around anything. So even if you're having a relationship challenge, or you're working with noticing what am I thinking is the first step. So like, what have I been thinking? Because we have a gazillion thoughts a day, and most of them are crap. And that's just normal. That's part of being human, right? So noticing, okay, what is that program thought that's coming across? What am I thinking? And then choosing, okay, now that I've noticed what I'm thinking, I'm going to change it. And I'm going to choose what I'm thinking now. And it's going to make me feel great. And I'm going to feel really good about myself because I deserve it. I'm always doing my best every single second. And eventually it becomes the default program. So you just kind of think of it as reprogramming your computer, which is your brain.
Oof, it's a lot.
It is, but that's again why we need to give ourselves grace and compassion because it takes time. But I tell you, if you work that ladder every day, even just once a day, multiple times a day, whatever feels right to you, just remind yourself, put a ladder on your fridge, put a ladder on your mirror, wherever, on the bathroom door, like wherever it is that you will see it a lot. And that will be your reminder. Okay, let me work a ladder right now. What have I been thinking that I can make even better? And then eventually, those better thoughts are the default. And then, you don't even need the ladder anymore. And since we worked with that part, I think that will help some too. And so, remember, I can work with that part. I can bring in that beautiful light and remind myself that I am lovable and unconditional love is always available to me. I can bring in that beautiful light and it feels amazing.
Okay.
And you'll see some changes. And of course, you can always reach out if you need something.
Right.
I'm always here for
Yeah,
you.
we will.
So thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for tuning in to today's episode. And again, if you want to be on the show, just pop onto my website, zenmindmichelle.com, and book in. I do 2 a week. So hop on the schedule, and the schedule comes out 2 weeks in advance. And we can chat about whatever challenges you're going through. And we'll see you next time.